Morning.
Good morning, Ben.
How are you today, Oystein?
I'm good. I'll just turn up my volume here a bit.
Very good. I'm excited for today. This is going to be awesome.
I hope so.
Yeah.
It was a lot of questions. I had to take some good notes, and yeah.
We'll see how many we get to today. I know there's so much to unpack in this topic. Lars, welcome.
Thank you.
Let's see if I'm going to turn my volume up, make sure I've got all the dots. There we go. Now I can hear everybody. Yeah, like I was about saying, we've got, a little over an hour. We've got there's a lot of directions we can go. We'll get to as much as we can and make this as, I think it's going to be a good show. I'm biased, but that doesn't make me wrong.
I think it's great that Lars could join us, which gives the brewer's perspective, and also Ivar, which has the historical perspective. He's reading, old writings from back to the Viking age, where they tell stories about Kveik and beer brewing, and he has a lot of great stories to tell. So,
oh man, yeah, I wish we could have an 8-hour show. I think that would be fantastic. Yeah. We still wouldn't do it justice, I don't think. I got doing a little more reading this morning as I had an extra hour, because I thought I had it at a 9 a.m. Broadcast this morning. So I used my extra hour to do a little digging, and boy, I got down the rabbit hole pretty quickly on the topic.
Well, you're asking some really good questions. Yeah, you're pushing me a little bit.
Well, I won't. We won't hold your. We won't hold your neck to the fire or anything like that. We'll keep it easy. I don't know is a good answer sometimes. We just have to, the research is still out on that topic.
Oh, they're good. They're good questions, right? Good. And we're not used to getting some of those questions. We're not used to getting. So it's a good practice for us to answer those kind of questions too, right? So
very good, very good. And so I understand you're a home brewer as well. Is that, or is that some? Was that accurate in my notes?
Yeah, I started out as a home brewer, and now I have other people to brew for me, like Lars.
Good job, Lars. Yeah.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah, somebody's got to do it.
Yeah. I'm home brewer myself, and I ended up working in a homebrew supply store a couple years ago, and purchased the company, and now doing this podcast to remind everyone that beer is as cool as we know it is. Very exciting. Got a couple more minutes here. We got my partner in crime, Andrew, should be on the call. as well as we have Ivar inbound, I'm sure.
So, how many listeners do you have on this
So the
podcast?
show, we are at episode 25, 26. We've got, we're averaging about 500, close to 500 a month in my local market, and going to be doing some longer reach projects as we go forward. So we've got, took our training wheels off and we're off to the races now. Going to be broadening that reach a little bit very soon, both for the shop and, retail opportunities for the shop and getting the show a little wider as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, you'll probably get some listeners from Norway as well now. So your reach is extending.
Yeah, that's very good. I'm excited. I'm excited for this. This is gonna be pretty slick. There's a lot to unpack. I just found this morning, like, there's a farmhouse yeast registry. Oh my gosh, just picking through that, where all this stuff came from and style, descriptive elements and fermentation times. Like, oh boy, I'm in trouble now.
It's how big do you want to go? That's the question.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people put in a lot of good work already, so that's good to know.
Yeah. It's pretty good. Well, since we got, real quick, a couple of housekeeping notes. If you can put your email address in the chat. I don't have a subscription to keep this meeting longer than an hour, but if we go over, I'll send you a new link to those email addresses and we'll be able to jump right back in.
Yep.
Waston, gotcha. Very good. Very good. Let's see.
Does it sound okay for you guys?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Okay.
That's perfect.
I was trying to hook up my headphones, but they didn't want to connect. So, yeah.
Mine died. I did a tech. We did a tech episode or a check 2 days ago, and first the microphone went out, and then the speakers went out. And was like, well, that's great. What are you gonna do? Andrew, my producer, he was able to extract the audio, and it sounds fine. So we're just gonna go with that.
Hopefully, there's not going to be too much ruckus from behind me here. I got 2 kids.
Ruckus and cats happen.
To bed, so we shall see.
Yeah. Very good. Let's see. 10:06. We can ask a few questions. This is all on audio. It's going to be an audio version for the podcast. I might share some clips of the video, but mostly I'm into audio editing right now because, well, video editing takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
So, Waston, I recall we did a logger episode a couple of weeks ago, and some of that research led us down the rabbit hole that they'd done some recent research and they'd isolated a wild yeast from Patagonia had bred in Bavarian lager caves to give us a unique strain, the Saccharomyces eubayanus or Pasteurianus. Was there? I understand there's some research on that's setting Kveik yeasts apart as well. Could you touch on some of that?
Of course. Kveik stands out from other brewing yeasts, and especially common Saccharomyces cerevisiae ale strains, and it's due to a combination of genetic, physiological, and phenotypic traits that make it uniquely robust and efficient. And first of all, Kveik yeasts form a genetically distinct clade within the Saccharomyces cerevisiae, separate from modern industrial strains. And genomic sequencing shows that they diverged from other ale yeasts hundreds of years ago. All the Kveiks are thermotolerant. They thrive at temperatures that would stress or kill most brewing yeasts, and some strains can even ferment cleanly above 100 degrees. They all ferment fast. Usually, fermentation completes in 1 to 3 days at warm temperatures, and that's due to the fast sugar metabolism in the yeasts. All the kveiks, or not all the kveiks, but a lot of the kveiks are high flocculators, which means that the yeasts often drop out of suspension quickly, and that aids in the natural clarification. And this is tied up to the upregulated FLO genes in the yeast. The Kveik strains are known to have unique aroma profiles, and they usually produce tropical and citrusy esters, even at high temperatures. Yeah, and they all are tolerate stress really well. They handle high gravity warts, and some strains can handle ABV up to 15-16%, which is really, really high. And last but not least, and maybe the most significant difference of all, Kveiks are multi-strain cultures, often including 2 to 12 yeast strains with complementary characteristics, which means you have one strain that is really speedy and ferments really fast, and then you have another strain that creates all these nice esters, and then you have a third strain that is a big flocculator, for example. And this gives you a much more complex flavor profile. And of course, it's another tool for the brewer to play with when creating new beers.
Very good. So I was just seeing if there was any updates from Ivar, if he was having any difficulties or not. I don't see anything. That's crap.
Do you like the long answers, or do you like?
I like long answers. How much long answers. We're gonna spend another 2 weeks crafting the show around these interview points because we have the ability to do that. So as much as as much information as you have is awesome. I'm glad I'm recording it all. Because it's gonna occupy a significant runtime in my brain for the next couple of weeks, for sure. Lars, I'm excited. You are working. You've got a brewery in Oslo, I understand.
Yep.
Yeah. And you're doing modern beers with almost exclusively Kveik yeast now.
Yeah, pretty much.
What drove you to go all in on Kveik?
Well, I mean, it's not exactly by incident, but it's sort of. I mean, the beer market today is what it is. And then how are you going to make beers that's going to stand apart from everybody else that's trying to do the same sort of thing, right? Mm-hmm. So one of the focuses that I have in the brewery is to try to make as local and as Norwegian beer as possible, but not necessarily adhering to specific styles. It doesn't have to be like traditional ales or anything like that. And then since there is a yeast producer in Norway, you better make sure to use it. Same with malt. I use pretty much only Norwegian malt, which is not so common, but there is producers now that will supply. So in that respect, very logical. Also, the brewery is, it is what it is. It's not the most modern brewery, so anything that will help me to shorten the production time is absolutely fantastic.
That was kind of my obvious well, shoot, if I could turn out an IPA in 4 days versus 2 weeks, my double tank operation, I'd be able to crank out several barrels of beer in a short timeline. A production timeline like that would definitely sounds attractive.
Uh, Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that's one part of it. I don't necessarily make the heaviest IPAs these days.
That's okay.
And I don't. The funny thing is, I use the Kveik cultures, maybe a little bit different than a lot of other people do. But and I do a lot of lower alcohol beers with it, which is like you wouldn't think about that at all, but it works excellent in the way that it's, you're kind of working against the ideal situations for the yeast. So
Welcome,
Yeah.
you are. Thank you for joining us. I know it's the end of day for getting on end of day for you guys. It's I still got my coffee.
It's only 7
over
o'clock.
here, but
No problem. I just have to check. Do you read me?
yeah, we got you loud and clear.
Yeah, nice.
Very good. I've got your email address. If we run a little long today, which I suspect it's highly likely, I'll be able to send everybody a new link for a new meeting, and we'll just keep the ball rolling. So welcome aboard. Let's see, where is my notes? Ira, since you're just joining us, I understand you're kind of the historian, and I believe I caught you on a YouTube channel, Chop and Brew, back in 2019. So I just sort of, I just found that early this morning. I was like, that guy's going to be on my show. I'm really excited now. Shit, this is great. In my notes, it says you've got your own yeast strain, or you found your own yeast strain on your farm.
Yeah,
Tell me about that
it's
for a
now
second.
confirmed. Yeah,
It's been confirmed.
so yeah, and I call it yeast culture, not strain.
It is a mix. It would be appropriate as a culture, since it's how many in the culture? How many unique players?
Yeah, that depends on the researcher. It depends on how close you are going to say they are related, the different cells.
Okay.
If you look at you heard of Lars Marius Garsol?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I got down the rabbit hole this morning, found his yeast registry.
Yeah. If you look at one of his videos, he explains that different researchers set up different amount of strains. So a yeast culture can be from 3 to 16 strains, depending on the researcher.
Okay. So how did you find your strain? Was it just hanging around? Did it come knocking on the door? What do we got going on?
Yeah, I was originally I got Kveik from Järnes when I understood that the Kveik was really unique, sort of yeast from Norway, and I live on an old farm, and it's brew gear here from hundreds and hundreds of years back, and I used old brew gear myself. And in one of a broken old barrel, it was what do you call that? Dried out beer, and that I used for growing up a culture, and then I pitched, and then I started to use it, and then different yeast labs have tested it and confirmed it.
Very exciting.
And it became a part of a big yeast research going on now in with Richard Price in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And they took a genetic test and did it quite deep. So today it's confirmed as a unique Kveik.
It's very cool. What's the what flavor characteristics are you getting in your?
Strangely enough, all the flavors around Voss is often explained with citrus. This one, both on blind test and people talking and tasting, say cherry. Not sweet cherry, but sour cherry flavor.
So Voss is a region that's a specific region in Norway. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So the Voss. So I mean, I've had limited experience. There's a lot of different strains I don't have access to. But the first one I had was a Voss put out by Lallemand. We had a unique weather event here a number of years ago. They called it a heat dome, and it just trapped hot air right over the state, and it was unseasonably 100 plus degrees. We don't get that, at this latitude, we don't get that hot. So we played with the yeast, and it was 3 days later at 100 degrees, no problem. That was exciting. So that region, so you're saying some of the flavor profiles from yeast in that region are citrusy. Okay.
Yeah.
And so other strains like Hornadal, those are also regionally specific.
They're more into like tropical fruits.
Okay. It makes me thirsty, is what it does.
Yeah.
Turns out not. That's not that hard for me. I ran across something this morning about screaming at your beer when you're pitching yeast.
There's a few versions of that, but in general, that's correct. Yeah.
Can you describe a little bit of that for me?
What?
Can you so that's a tradition, a traditional practice for pitching your yeast?
Yeah. In some areas, they are very focused on it, and they scream like crazy. And in some areas, like I've learned from my father-in-law, I just yell very loud, "Gott öl," or "nice beer."
Nice beer, yeah.
So it's everything from screaming just "ra" until or saying best wishes.
It's kind of like telling your kids play nice, don't have fun out there, but play nice, kind of thing. Now I can see why my partner Andrew is not on. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna send him that link as make sure he gets on board with this. Always going to have technical difficulties as soon as we go live, right?
Yeah. PC said goodbye. Just I put it on and it went black. So that's the first thing happened here.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like it has to go that way. I went to hit record and test my recording software minutes before this, and I had to restart the whole thing because it wouldn't actually stop recording. Like that's going to be a problem. It's a little panic. That's okay. Oyston, so we were talking. One of the characteristics these yeasts are going to ferment really, really hot. How does that, is there a process? How does that avoid some of the traditional off flavors, that so many other ale yeasts are going to be exhibiting?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's actually one of the most magical things about Kveik. Hot, fast fermentations without the typical swamp or fusels, sulfur or solvent weirdness that you'd expect at those temperatures.
Yeah.
So first of all, Kveik produces lots of heat shock proteins called HSP, and these act like tiny bodyguards for the cells. It keeps the enzymes and membranes stable even at high temperatures, which means the yeast keeps fermenting cleanly, while other strains would start to freak out. And secondly, the enzymes inside the Kveik are built differently. Where most yeasts struggle above 80 degrees, Kveik's enzymes keep working, and especially the ones that handle amino acids, esters, and fatty acids. They're heat tolerant and they don't go haywire. And third, Kveik knows how to handle fusel alcohols. It controls the genes that makes them and then quickly turns them into fruity esters like citrus or pineapple instead of harsh solventy stuff.
That's kind of cool. So it's the normal problem children. It's in the batch are being converted into other flavors. Man, that's cool. That's really cool stuff.
Yeah, and it barely produces sulfur, for example. And even when it's under heat stress, it keeps the sulfur compounds like hydrogen sulfide and DMS to a minimum. And that's
what temperature are these strains going to get heat stressed at? Like, that's kind of weird.
Well, you need to go well above 40, I would say. But then when you get to those temperatures, they start struggling with other stuff, right? So they stop fermenting if it gets too warm. So then that becomes the problem if you go too warm.
100 degrees
I have tested pitching at 45 C.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ivar?
Do your math.
Yeah, he said that he's fermented up to 110 degrees, and that's very warm, and it works fine. And then for some of the strain or the cultures, for other cultures, even 45 could be a little too high. I've done one at I think it was 114, which is the highest that we've gone. So. But of course, it's not an optimal temperature.
That's I kind of equate beer yeast as a picky prima donna in the landscape. I know I played with wine yeast; they seem to be more robust for all sorts of temperature ranges. Beer yeast seem picky, and these Kveik cultures kind of break all of the rules. I think that's fantastic. I still struggle with comprehending the possibilities of 100-degree fermentation and in 3 days, and that dropped clear. I love it. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I think this all comes down to where Kveik evolved, right? It's a Norwegian farmhouse brewer. Norwegian farmhouse brewers, they pitched it hot and fermented fast, and it fermented in a couple of days. And over generations, that environment shaped the yeast that thrives in heat, ferments clean, and it doesn't need any babysitting.
Yeah.
And there was a natural selection as well. If you had a yeast that gave a lot of off flavors, no one wanted it, so they just got some yeast from their neighbor or just got some new yeast. So they started producing or making beer from the yeast that produced clean, right? So the natural selection is really what made these yeasts.
So yeah, these farmhouse environments with the same cook pot your granddad used and all the same gear, kind of shaped the trajectory for these yeast. With that in mind, you've gone on to build a yeast lab a modern lab for these ancient wild yeast. How's that different in terms of your the production? Any changes in the production versus say a modern yeast lab and your lab for Kveik?
Well, it's kind of a paradox, right? You're building a high-tech facility for something that's deeply traditional. Well, first off, a lot of people think Kveik is a wild yeast. It's not. It's domesticated, just in a different way. Modern yeasts were bred in labs. Kveik is not. It was shaped by generations of farmhouse brewers. So our job when creating the factory was it wasn't to tame the yeast. It was to preserve the yeast and its character while ensuring quality and consistency. So designing the yeast factory, it starts with respecting the yeast's nature. Kveik thrives under hot, fast, and low stress conditions. So we built that into the process. We optimized propagation temperatures to match the way it was used historically, rather than force it into cold industrial routines. And at the same time, we still use clean room practices, control aeration, selective media, all the tools that modern microbiology, all the tools of modern microbiology. And to keep the cultures free from contamination, but not stripped of its complexity. And that's especially important for multi-strain cultures because we want the complexity there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about balance. We're not trying to polish the Kveik into something sterile and boring. We're giving it a stage to do what it already does best, basically.
And since these cultures are already growing up in together, normally are you having any problems with like different growth rates for different species within the culture?
Not within the culture. The cultures are stable, and we have techniques to maintain the stability in the culture. But of course, between the cultures, there are different. There's different growth. Yeah.
Okay. We're gonna move on to Lars. Very homebrew specific questions. I love the biology, I love the lab stuff. The history is my jam. But for the average listener, like, are there specific styles that lend themselves better to modern beer styles? Certain culture, yeast cultures that you talked about an IPA. I know I've had some Saison flavors and some, Saison-like flavors in one of the Voss strains I use. But is there like a, prescription of, these for modern styles, which culture might be appropriate?
They're so versatile, these cultures, that they will pretty much work for any style. Like, I've used some of the cultures I've used more than others. But I feel, other than say attenuation and just yeast performance, like flavor-wise, it's extremely versatile. It depends a little bit on obviously pitch rate, your wort, and all these other parameters that you give it. But obviously IPA, absolutely. Then you have a lot of biotransformation happening with the hops. But I mean, you can I don't know. What I like to do is try to highlight the flavor of the individual Kveik strains. So I mean, you could use a dark English style beer, perfect. Use say you want a little bit less attenuation. Use Stallion. I use Eitrheim for the stronger, more malt forward beers that I've made. I made so many different things. Like if you want to make like a fruited beer, perfect for that too. I make a cream ale that I've adjusted a little bit to it, but it's like 20% is flake maize. I'm using the Stallion now, and it's all like very crisp orchard fruit, not so like tropical. Where in higher temperatures you get more like pineapple, but like super ripe pear, apple, but not in like a acetaldehyde like off-putting way. It's like I feel like given the right sort of which is say like the baseline of some of the ingredients you put in there, you can really highlight say like that the terroir or whatever, right? From where these yeasts came from. So obviously, there's a lot of them that are from the west coast of Norway, in places where there is massive fruit orchards, right? And these are farmhouse sales. They are from farms, and it definitely reflects that. Yeah, I don't know if I answered your question though.
That's pretty good. I like it. We're easy. I didn't, Andrew's popped on. I didn't get to introduce. This is my co-host, Andrew Ziegler. Andrew, do you have the question list in front of you as well? He might be muted. You're muted, Andrew. Anyways, well, he figures that out. Where are we?
So, like, just one example. This is a brown porter made with Stallion at 21 degrees Celsius, and you would think it's more of an English ale yeast, but with much more complexity.
And was it done and of course it was done in a couple of days.
Well, I mean, it is a little bit whatever fits my production schedule, but it was finished fermenting pretty fast. It depends. Like this, we threw a lot of like oats. The Kveik strains aren't as fond of a lot of specialty malts, a lot of flake grains, so they will not attenuate as much. Like most of the strains are used to using just straight up Pilsner malt,
Okay.
Super light colored, air dried, or smoked malt.
That was one of the questions from the homebrew community was how it handles like flaked oat or flaked corn, rye.
I can weigh in on that. In all traditional brewing, it was always with oats, because all grain growing in Norway from ancient times has been duoculture with 6-row barley and oats. So they are used to ferment in oats.
Okay.
Rye, on the other hand, is a different story, but it's fantastic. If you want body, rye with a Kveik, it works really well.
Gosh. I'm getting so thirsty. Are you kidding me?
5 o'clock store.
Yeah. It's like 10:30. It's like
I can say another thing as well.
Drink, right? Beer. We're talking. It's good for all. It's all day beverage. It's we're not that. We did a coffee episode last week, so maybe we'll bring some of that beer in there.
There's an ABV for that.
There's a beer for that. Yeah, there's a beer for that. So these Kveik cultures are passed down through families. You like train with your neighbor if your strain goes south, or or inheriting your brewing gear on the farmstead. That's talk to me about this yeast, the drying out, this yeast ability to dry out and preserve this culture forever, apparently.
Øystein must have the technicality on that.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, I lost the sound. Was there a question for me now?
I was asking Ivar about this passing down yeast or the preservation of these cultures. My understanding is just drying this stuff out keeps it viable long term as well. Is that an accurate representation, Ivar, for some of these like traditional
For the old timers, it was just to either top crop when it was on the highest, or bottom crop when all the yeast had fell down. There's no exact rule on that. You can find in all the writings, both things has been done in both districts. On the technical bit, I think Øystein can explain how the yeast cells managed to do it, but in old school, you just used a log or a yeast, what do you call it? Gjærkrans. And you put it in the slurry, hung it on the wall, and it dried up in a couple of days. And you just throw that in when you had your wort at the right temperature again.
So it's a yeast culture that's unconcerned with temperature to a huge degree. Pitch rate, apparently, drying condition. Like, how many rules is this yeast going to break? It's
perfect. That's so suited to dry yeast.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just. It gives you such a. I mean, it's a 9-day thing because I don't really buy wet pitches, so it's perfect.
That's good times, man.
It will break more rules, but I'm sure that we'll get to that later during this conversation.
Oh yeah.
I must say one thing with Kveik Yeastery company. They actually do the multi-strain. They focus on the tradition, and to have that in a bag, you can have it for I don't know how long, but just to take care of the multi-strain part is the most important thing I think they do.
And also not problematic with I've had no issues with diastaticus or anything like that in the cultures as well, so that's perfect. Non-hop tolerant. It's not really an issue. You think about introducing multi-strain cultures into the brewery, that's scary. But nope, not a concern.
So Kveik Yeastery is doing the multi-strain stuff. So some of the other I guess those would be some of the other available yeast. Are those monoculture strains?
The Voss from L'Allemand is a single strain that's picked out, and you can taste it. It's not very. I'm sure it ferments well at higher temperatures, and it does the dance, but it's just it has this distinct flavor of. It's like a very simple. You can taste it's Voss, but it's such a simple version of it. Like you lack the
complexity,
the high notes and the low notes. It's just like you just have this
it's missing the harmonies.
It's not great.
The bass line and the harmony and the
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm excited. I've got some in the shopping cart still. My order through Brewmaster has been. My order of interval has been delayed a little bit, but I'm excited to get a couple of those here and play with them. Kind of a question I have for like a roundtable question if you've got one style, one culture and one beer, like Desert Island, can't do without. What's that beer and strain combination for you? We'll start with Lars.
I'm still trying to figure that out. I don't know. I just want to play with it.
Yeah.
And I can play, it's fine to play with it a lot, I think. But it needs, I'm really digging the Stallion for like a super crushable cream ale blonde thing. And I think I'm going to play with some enzymes as well to make the attenuation better for that. See where that's going. Like super crisp, crushable. I just like the fruitiness of the culture and like it's so good. So that's what I want to do.
Ivar, how about you? What's your go-to?
I can't answer anything else than homebrew.
Yeah.
Traditional homebrew from Ceylon.
This is the way.
But what I like a smash with Hersbrucker low IBU hops, and so you can taste all the fruitiness in the different Kveiks. I always recommend people to go the first time you brew with Kveik, go smash, go low IBU, get it sweet. Sweetness helps with the flavor, and then you can pick your favorite and then play with it.
Very cool.
Well, don't use hops at all.
What's your go-to there?
This is like, I have 4 children. I don't want to promote one of them.
They're all my favorites.
They're all my favorites in their own special way, right? No, to do high fermentations, warm fermentations, I would go to Voss. For the IPAs, I would maybe go to Ebbegarden. For the malty beers, I would do Eiterheim. And what I'm playing around with right now is doing low temperature fermentations with Stallion. And that's really, really exciting. It's really fun to see what it's doing even at low temperatures. So that's the best answer I can give you. And I have another child coming hopefully this year, which will also be exciting.
Can you share a little bit more information on this upcoming blessing?
I don't want to share too much, but it will be something new in the market. Of course, we're not here to develop something that's already existing in the market. So we want to bring something new to the table. That's how we think about product development.
I like that. Well, keep me posted. We'll go when that's ready. I'd love to have you back on. We can talk some more about that one as soon as it releases.
Sure thing.
Yeah, that sounds very exciting. Another kind of roundtable question. What's one thing? What's one tip or trick or hack for Kveik yeast that you wish every brewer knew? Like. We'll start with you, Ivar.
I would always say go high on temperature and then a bit up.
Go high and then, sorry, I didn't catch that last part.
Go high on temperature and then you go a bit up.
Go up more, go more. Don't be afraid. I like that. Øystein, what about you, buddy?
Yeah, I like Ivar's tip. And most brewers are thinking high temperature when they think of Kveik, fast fermenting, high temperature. That's what they think. I would advise brewers to go low. Kveik is so versatile, and right now, I would say try brewing at low temperatures. I just fermented a Pilsner at 54 degrees with Stalgen Kveik, and it finished in 7 days. The beer is super clean, which is what you expect from a Pilsner. And by going low, it gives you a whole lot of opportunities for brewers out there. If you can crank out the Pilsner in 7 days, that's
money
magic
right there. Yeah. That means that's more beer. Let's see. Fermented at 74, it looks like. He's got no microphone today, huh? Yeah. Technicals. That's good.
Okay.
Yeah. Got all sorts of microphones that are not playing nice today. That's okay. We'll get him on the for the final cut. He'll be included. Let's see. Where am I? Oh, Lars, your hack.
My hack. Well, I mean, for me, it comes all down to so wort composition, depending on your outcome, then oxygen, nutrients, and more nutrients. So zinc and, well, I mean, I would say that's the most important.
Nutrients.
I use Saccharomyces, and I use a lot of Saccharomyces as well for my fermentations. So, but yeah, nutrients, very important. Don't forget, don't skip.
It's probably a topic that doesn't come up a lot in a lot of barley based 100% barley beers, needing as much, they're not as nutritionally needy as say certain wine strains. So Kveik, definitely just ramp up your nutrition for performance,
especially if you're doing lower gravity beers.
Lower gravity,
very important. So I mean, a lot of the beers, the traditional beers made in Kveik, are higher original gravity. I don't make so much higher original gravity beers. So nutrients, it needs that little boost of, it's used to these like super dense environments.
Okay, that makes sense. Like it grew up here.
Yeah, and
we throw it down here, and it's like. Come on, we just want to support that a little bit. I get
also fantastic for like low alcohol beers.
Okay,
for complexity and body, and that's fantastic.
If I can weigh in on that a little bit.
Yeah.
When I brew, I most often make a starter, and that starter I make with the first runnings. So that is with a lot of nutrients from the shell of the grain. Mm-hmm. So I actually boost the Kveik before I pitch. So I totally agree with the nutrient part, and I always also recommend modern brewers to use nutrient.
Awesome. Very good. Let's see. So we were talking about, we just mentioned some of the different, temperature ranges, going hot, but then you did some a Pilsner at cool temperatures. Are there differences, in the expression of the yeast, like, in terms of flavor, just like, some of these others, normal or mainline, that's a terrible way to say it too. Like these cultures have been around for forever. So there's nothing they're not novel on a certain regard. So, the reframing, do these yeast behave differently at different temperatures? In terms of flavor output?
Yeah, they do. If you ferment them at high temperatures, they will give you more esters than they do at low temperatures. So, but they still ferment clean even at high temperatures and low temperatures. But the higher the temperature, the more esters you will create. Yeah, basically.
Okay. Let's see. We are minutes away, probably from our cutoff here, based on when. So give me a minute. I'm gonna get everybody. I've got everybody's email here in the chat. I'm gonna send out another link here. So give me a hot second. We'll go ahead and jump on and do that. Okay. So just sent out the second one there. Make sure everybody got that here real quick before this thing times out.
There it is. Maybe.
Everybody got the second link?
Yeah.
Check.
Bueno.
I don't know if we got the actual link.
What did it send? Oh yeah, I forgot to highlight the link. There we go. Oh, let's see. Nope, that's not what I needed.
I have one in my calendar already. Is it?
It should be the same one. I just wanted to make sure everybody got that. It was kind of odd because it uses the same link for the second meeting. So we'll find out. If that works.
Popped up here.
Yeah. So I just sent up a new one there. And let's see. I haven't gotten any alerts yet that, hey, we're running out of time, but I know I launched this maybe 2 minutes before the hour. So we are 2 minutes away from that hour long. So why don't we do this? I will go ahead and end this call, and I will launch that second one. And if you can't get through, you got my email address. I'll keep monitoring that, and we'll get it straightened out. All right, we'll see y'all in a couple minutes.
All right. Yeah.
Awesome. That part worked. And 3 out of 4. We're almost there.
Missing Ivar.
Check my email. No responses there. All right, we are back in action. And good.
Hello.
I am still recording and everything. That's good. Andrew, I sent you a message in the chat. Feel free to ask any questions that you have in the chat, and we'll get those. Cool. Let's see. Coming back.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Loud and
clear. No, it works.
Welcome to the party, pal. Let's see. Moving right along. Are there any misconceptions that brewers might have about Kveik yeast that definitely need to get cleared up? And I'll present that to an open question to the panel.
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, I think it's so Øystein had a talk in a beer festival that I put on mid March, so a month ago, and I mean the fact that Kveik has been seen as like a 2017 thing is I think that's the large misconception. There's been so many shitty beers made with Kveik that it's kind of got a bad rep. But I mean, that's just more about the actual beers than the use of Kveik. I mean, it was like a whole big thing that I feel sort of died down a little bit, but I think I don't agree with that at all.
Clearly, you've gone all in at the brewery, so that's awesome. What's your brewery's name, Lars?
Ulsnia.
Ulsnia?
Ulsnia. It's Alesmith. That's in Norwegian. I didn't come up with the name, so it wasn't me. But that is what I inherited. So
there you go.
I've tried to make that work. So try to make as Norwegian beer as possible with a very Norwegian name for a brewery.
Very Norwegian. There you go. Ivar, any misconceptions we should put to bed?
I think Lars said it well. Most people think that Kveik is something new, and it's old, very old. And one thing, when I had to do this on my phone, it's one benefit with it. I can take you and show you the old brew house, so you can see it live.
Very exciting.
So I just checked the brew cellar where I usually brew, but it's a bit of a mess after winter, so I go into the old Eld house instead. So you can see a bit, but
there you are.
I just turn around. Let's see. I got a message here, so I don't know if you can see in here. I don't know if I can turn the camera. No, it gets too dark. Yeah.
Need to light the fire, Ivar.
Yeah, I must light the fire. Unfortunately, it's too dark, but Øystein is soon coming to visit here, so he can.
I'll be there in a couple of weeks.
But yeah, it was a test. It didn't work.
It didn't work. More technical difficulties. Another now. We'll do this. What do we do? We'll do this again, and we'll get you. We'll figure out all the technical stuff. We'll have a new batch of technical difficulties that day. Again, I want to thank you guys. This is a load of fun for me. If I get to, I just want to talk about beer full time at this point. So this is great. Let's see.
And another thing that I can mention is that I'm going to Minnesota in September to brew.
Right on.
So
Who are you going to brew with?
I'm going with the Chop and Brew guys.
Chip. Very cool.
Yeah, Chip and Dom and all the guys. And the St. Paul Brew Club. And as I don't remember what the other brew club call themselves, but locals. I'm going around on brew pubs, brewing with them. Yeah.
That'll be a good trip.
Sounds fun.
So that's coming up in September for 3 weeks.
September. I might just have to make some travel plans here and crash some crash a brew club meeting or 4.
Give Chip a call.
You know,
he's in on the planning.
Very good, very good. Let's see. Going through my notes here, I know we've covered so many different things.
Yeah, I can say something about misconceptions, Ben.
Go for it.
There are quite a few misconceptions around Kveik, and one of the biggest misconceptions is that Kveik is a wild yeast, while it's not. It's domesticated, just in a different way than lab-grown strains. It's been selected and reused by farmhouse brewers for generations. So it's rustic, but it's not unpredictable like wild yeast. And another common one is thinking that you have to ferment it hot. And while it can handle 100 to 105 degrees like a champ, and often shines there, it doesn't have to. Many strains will ferment clean and quick, even down to 54 and 60 degrees, like I mentioned earlier. And finally, some brewers expect Kveik to be a one-size-fits-all solution, but the cultures are really diverse. Voss, Ebbegarden, Stallion, Eitreim, each has its own personality. Some are citrusy and clean, and others are more fruity. So just like any other yeast, match the yeast to the beer style, and make some good beer. So yeah, it's.
Can you elaborate on some of those profiles for the your 5 or your strains that you guys are working through, like like a basic I think we mentioned Voss is citrusy, Hornadal kind of tropical. Do you have kind of like basic crib notes version for your offerings?
Yeah, for the Voss, you will get some orange marmalade, citrus flavors. For the Ebbegarden, you will get more of apple and pear. It also promotes bitterness from the hops. The Eitreim will give you more of stone fruit. Fits very well with malty and darker beers, I think.
So deep flavors in that, like super ripe plums and such.
Yeah,
very delicious.
Yeah, and the Stallion is the most, let's say, neutral of them. It still has tropical flavors of pineapple and such. But it's still the most neutral of the yeast types that we have, together with Eitreim, I would say. Is that correct, Lars?
Yeah, I would say I haven't played around as much with Ebbegarden. I'm drinking one with Ebbegarden right here. Voss I've used a lot for like quick, easy, like golden ales, and I did a stout with it. So I think, that can also be fairly clean, but Yeah, I think that's fair. I made I made a beer de garde with chanterelle mushrooms with Eiterheim, and that was really nice and clean. Whereas I did that was lower temperatures, and I did high temperatures, and it was very fruity. Did a plum beer with that, and that was very, it's like worked very well together. So yeah, I agree. Those two are the cleanest ones. Major difference in those two is attenuation, I think. Well, obviously they're totally different cultures and the flavors are different, but they can be clean. But Eiterheim will attenuate much better than Stalling, depending on the grist, obviously. There's so many factors that plays into it, but very generally.
So you mentioned the grist. Are there certain malt bills or grist bills that play nicer with some of these strains, or is it still in you're still in the experimenting phase on some of these beers, or
Well, absolutely. Rye, if you want a lot of body, then that it does not dry out too much for most of the strains. But it's very strain dependent too. Wheat oats works pretty well as long. Once you introduce darker malts, so like Maillard malt, caramel malts, then you're really pushing like the limits of what it can attenuate well. But if you want a sweet beer, obviously those are that's in your play chest of things. So fruity and sweet is obviously something that's also pleasurable to a lot of people.
One of the questions we talked about earlier about drying yeast and some of these practices, we have what it sounds like a variable pitch rate potential with these yeast from whatever is stuck on the log hanging in the barn to doing starters. So what kind of are there performance changes based on pitch rate for these yeasts?
Yeah, absolutely. But it's not necessarily the craziest. You can still make. I generally tend to overpitch rather than underpitch, but I have, especially with the Voss, I've underpitched quite a bit, and it works great. But obviously, not obviously, but you do get a lot more, I think, flavor when you if you embrace the underpitch, and it can be pretty wild. But then I think a lot of the what people will tell you is to severely underpitch, and I don't think that's right in all cases. The cultures are very different.
It's not the definer.
It's not a one catch-all thing. No.
For the whole.
It's not one Kveik. It's totally.
Yeah. That's fair.
I also tried both with Gjernes and Selland, and I tend to get a little more esters or flavors when I overpitch, and I actually overpitch a lot. I have no exact amount, but I overpitch like liters.
Lots of these.
Yeah. And in the start, people thought that you had to pitch with like a teaspoon to get the right flavor. Mm-hmm. But I would say overpitch, and if you want the flavors, go high on temperature, and then you get max.
Is some of it falling in line with kind of your the accepted pitch rate calculations for other Saccharomyces cerevisiae strains?
Yes. Our pouches are smaller than the typical ale yeast sachets that you find in the market. And the reason for that is why put more yeast in there than you need, right? So our 7 gram sachets performs really well. And there's not a big difference in either fermentation speed or flavors if you use 7 grams or if you use 10 grams. The flavors are pretty much the same, and the fermentation speed is also pretty much the same. And the reason for that is the doubling time that this yeast has, right? It doubles in less than an hour. So it goes from 7 grams to 14 grams in, like that.
If you want to do traditional like Ivar, then you make the Mariave and the high gravity starter. And then, that's what you would do traditionally.
And I must say another thing as well, because I don't brew like 30 liters. I brew like 150. So it's a difference.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You're trying to make a lot at a time there.
The reason why I pitch so much is that I want the fermentation to start fast, so I don't have to think about getting bad beer. That it should have so much alcohol after short time that other things don't thrive in the brew.
Right.
Which is very important when you're not using much hops, obviously.
Some of the traditional Norwegian ones are not as hopped, are they?
I use quite a bit of hop because that's what I've learned, and have been done. And I also prefer to use the local Zeeland hop, who's been here for thousands of years. And but you can choose both. You can choose what you like. But I both have learned that from my father-in-law and read about it, that it was not usual to go very low on hops.
Right.
But some people like low hops. Why not?
Brew what you love, right?
Works fantastic for unhopped beers too. I make a lot of root ales with Kveik.
Okay. What kind of roots?
What kind of roots? I mean, whatever I can forage, really. Okay. So I make a lot of juniper infusion. I use traditional ingredients you would use. So juniper, yarrow, America Gale, pine shoots. There's, the traditional brewing herbs in Norway, and not just Norway, but it's obviously what's local to you. Right? So
Yum. Sounds cool. There's my wife's she's the herbologist in the family, and she likes to play with a lot of different concoctions. I've got to try a few of them in beer. I haven't done them all. Some of them were downright scary, but she made me drink it anyways.
Psychoactive compounds in these herbs, heather tips.
Yeah, I did a kava beer one time. It didn't do anything for me, but
I think you need a lot.
Yeah, I needed more. Yeah,
might be other thing.
So how is the as far as the Norwegian beer scene, how is Kveik beers, is that a dominant picture in the beer scene out there, or is it still you guys are having the same kind of like micro
people are way too into the American beers mostly. I think pastry stouts and IPAs and fruited sours, whatever, and there's nothing local about anything about it. It doesn't really have any history, or it's just kind of it's untapped.
Well, that's you've got differentiation on your side.
Remember that the biggest brew Evolution and Revolution is made by America in the 1960s and 70s. I read a lot of history, loads from everything I can find. That's the biggest thing happening in brew history ever.
Yeah.
I think there's in Norway as well, we're people of travelers, so we are very influenced by other countries, regardless of whatever it is. If it's music, if it's films or food, whatever, we don't really look too much inward. We look a little bit too much outward, I think. So
we stopped the rape and the pillaging, though.
Yeah,
We couldn't do that.
Women.
It wasn't popular.
Yeah,
Wildly unpopular, it turns out. Yeah.
I figured y'all had all the beautiful women already.
Yeah, we do. My wife will listen to this podcast.
My wife might eventually. My wife, she's a redhead through and through. I've met the Viking side of her, and it's captivating and frightening all at the same time.
No, but I think Lars is onto something there, because we're a small country, and we're always looking outside to find and discover new things, and that shapes us as well as society. We're not as, we travel abroad when we go on vacation. We don't use the areas close to ourselves. We're always looking abroad, so that influences the beer scene in Norway as well in a big way, I would say.
But then you see that a lot of other people, I mean, like Oslo is weird, because I don't know. But whenever I go outside of Oslo, and if Sweden or whatever, then the interest in Kveik beer is a lot higher, because it's something different. Not that it's like super saturated in Oslo at all, because it is not. But now we're starting to see a little bit more of it, like people regaining some interest and new people discovering it, which is, we need that. And it's pretty exciting. It's just, there's so much imports that's dominating the big guys with the industrial breweries, and everything's getting more expensive. So there's like the whole of that. But I think we're definitely going in a good direction. It's just taking a while.
Yeah, everything takes a while.
So we get a lot of interest from far abroad. Like, of course, the US is a big market for us. But we get interest in South America. We get requests from Japan. All over the place. And we also see interest from other industries that we are used to. It's not only beer. We have a tequila producer in Mexico. That's, they reached out to us, and now they're testing our yeast for tequila production. We are testing, or we're doing testing with whiskey distilleries. So we're also seeing a lot of interest from other industries, not just the beer industry, which we think is great and of course really exciting. So now I get to taste tequila, and I get to drink whiskey, in addition to beer, of course.
That's always good. That's cool.
I tested one, the first whiskey that came with Kveik on Kornøy Festival. I tried both the raw cuts or the moonshine, and the finished product, and that's fruity. You can taste the Kveik in the distillate.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's
no doubt.
That's cool. I'll have to keep an eye out for some of that, or fire up the kettle or something quickly. Let's see. So Ivar, you still you're brewing? You got this is your family farmhouse you're at now?
I learned to brew from my father-in-law. I'm from Oslo myself, but I came here 23 years ago, and learn brewing from him in the first month I was there, and I was just hooked.
Yeah.
And I was asking him for whatever he knew, and he brewed the old style brewing with ancient gear, been on the farm for hundreds of years.
Are you still brewing with some of that gear?
What?
Are you still brewing with some of that ancient gear?
Yeah, all the old. I had to change some of the buckets, so that's not original, but the rest of the brew gear is original. So yeah, I was all in the first time I tasted it, and the first time I saw it was brewed.
Yeah.
And I was lucky because at that time the old guy still lived. So I brewed with them for 3 months before my father-in-law died. But I was on him all the time to learn all the old traditions, exactly how the brew gear was built from time to time, every smallest detail. And when he died, I started to look up old books to learn about how it was done other places. So yeah, I'm punch on this brewing. I enjoy American brews as well, a lot, but for me, I can get that from elsewhere. So I focus on what I can do. Hopefully save this old tradition.
Yeah. I think the history, I've kind of been of the opinion that human history is beer history. I mean, we've been doing this stuff for for this side of forever. And for most of that, it's right in the home. Home brewing is the history of brewing. Not a knock to production brewing. They keep me hydrated really, really well. But I definitely want to see, I'm biased. I got a homebrew supply store. I want to see more home brewers playing with cool stuff and
local ingredients too.
Yeah, exactly. We did have a local maltster in the valley. They're supposed to be coming back online this spring, so we'll see if we can get some of that back in the show. I'm excited. Let me go over my notes here real quick. I want to make sure I've got all the stuff here. I mean, I could keep talking for probably another hour and a half, but somebody has to go to work, I'm sure, and you guys are at the end of your day.
No, it's fine.
Easter holiday here.
Yeah.
Oh, bueno. Let's see. You mentioned earlier the spruce, some of the spruce beers. Is there a specific spruce variety?
It's whatever grows in the woods.
Whatever's out back.
Well, I mean, there's I'm not a botanist in any way, but I don't think it's Sitka. What I have here, it's there's a few, it's just the most common Norwegian spruce, really. But I mean, that's for spruce tips. But for juniper, then there's a variety of that, and I've used pine as well. But juniper infusion is, the traditional thing in a lot of places. Not every place, but that's like one of the most common things in Norwegian brewing is using a juniper infusion for the strike water.
Oh, okay.
That's actually all old traditional brewing, if you read.
Yeah. So if you have juniper, you pretty much use juniper for brewing traditionally.
Yeah.
But then, with industrial brewing, etc., you lost a lot of that. And then with the, prevalence of hops taking over, hops is fairly new in the big scheme of things. So
in the long view of brewing.
Yeah, long view. Yeah.
In Norwegian brewing, hop is proven as farmed in. You have laws on that from year 940.
Yeah, which is pretty new.
Yeah.
And
It was 2 weeks ago, right?
And in European brewing, you can see it starts in 1600s.
Yeah. But you used, mostly what you had available locally. And then you had, obviously, the influence of religion and the monks and whatever that would maybe, or people that would control things, right? Because beer and taxation has gone hand in hand. I guess, beer is such a big thing of society. So it's
beer is the most political drink you can drink.
100%.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Political, polarizing, like it's the whole thing, man. It's, I've been nerding on the topic for 15 years. And I'm certainly not bored with it. This has been really exciting. I think I've got a show to edit down, but I want to thank you guys again for joining us today on the podcast. It's been just about the biggest thrill. I'm gonna be riding a high all day from this. Øystein, I look forward to hearing from you again when that new strain comes out, when you can talk freely about it. Love to hear from you. I got everybody's contact information. I'd love to be able to reach out to you guys periodically and keep us posted on how things are going. Any of your socials you want to share out to get some exposure on, send it my way, and we'll make all that stuff happen too.
I must do a shout out for Kornølfestivalen in Norway. That's a must.
Yeah, I got my passport. When's that festival?
Kornøl.
What time?
That's in first weekend in October. So I'm coming home from Minnesota, brewing and going to that.
Nice.
That'll be it. You got a whirlwind tour. That's a nice beer vacation you got going on there. Bookended, right?
And if you look up Lars Marius Garsol on YouTube, most of what you can say the talks he has on beers, when you see it in a auditorium, it's from Kornølfestivalen.
Okay. Yeah.
It's the greatest traditional brewing festival in the world.
Andrew, I think we got to go to Norway.
Yep.
Let's go. I haven't been yet.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. What a fantastic treat. So glad we got to do this today.
Yeah, thank you guys.
You bet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ben, and I'll keep you posted on our new products coming up for sure.
Very good. And thank Leif for me when you see him next time in the office there. Awesome. Fantastic.
I will do that. Thank you, Ben.
Wonderful. I'll send you copies when we get the show cut down. I'll send you the links on all that stuff.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
See you.
Peace.
See you guys. Bye-bye.